All right. Good evening and good night, and welcome to the It's Your Perspective talk show. It got me again. Damn volume. Anyway, this is the It's Your Perspective talk show, man. Good night and good evening. It is Wednesday, November 12th, 2014. This is the It's Your Perspective talk show. My name is David, a.k.a. Kimba, a.k.a. Christian, alongside
Campbell Soup Carter.
Yeah, so we are back, man. No show last night, Veterans Day. Big up to all the veterans out there.
Yep.
But we're here now. It's Wednesday. We got a special guest in studio. Reuben Molloy is here. He's going to be talking to us a little bit about technology, computer technology, a little bit about Windows, a little bit about Macs, maybe some social media kind of stuff. Wave to the crowd, Reuben. We like to tell our guests, wave to the crowd. You're streaming out right now; they are seeing you. But we're going to get back with Reuben here just in a minute. We always like to bless this show with the poem. We call it the It's Your Perspective poem. Soup, you ready?
Yes, I.
Bless that mic, man.
Greetings, Rastafari lives. The greatest secret in life is that reality is nothing more than an illusion. The physical world does not exist outside of our own belief system and the filter of our own minds. We are in fact subparticles of Jah, experiencing creation itself. But as subparticles of Jah, we have also swayed over these creation. Everything you have experienced in life, every event, occurrence, object, and person, is nothing more than a figment of your own thoughts, beliefs, and words. The problem is, most of us are still asleep. The problem is, most of us are still asleep. When we understand this, our entire world shifts and we come to realize the true meaning of life is thus like a lucid dream. We have total control.
That's it right there, man. That is the It's Your Perspective poem. Super's been blessing this mic, blessing the show with that poem from the very beginning. Any thoughts on that, Reuben, real quick? Our guest tonight, Reuben Molloy, he's in the house. Any thoughts real quick on that poem? Does it strike you? Is it intense? I love it, man. I've been hearing it now since April. It just seems like he's doing it for the very first time every night, you know?
Just deep.
Yeah, man. But yeah. So, Soup, man, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm well, a little tired, a little beat up, but I'm okay. I'm good to go.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling the same way, man. We'll run through some stuff here real quick, man. This is special thanks to Julie, Vanessa, and Cherise King for helping us out with the show. Hope you guys get back here real soon.
Yep.
I saw Vanessa today. Thank you so much. Last week we had author Gary James, Black Politics 2.0. Check out his book. I think he said it's ready now on Amazon.
Yep, it's ready. It's there.
Yeah, just go check it out.
Yeah.
Author Gary James, Black Politics 2.0.
Hopefully, if we live, he'll be back again next Thursday.
Yes, he actually is starting a every other Thursday from 8 to 9 segment on our show. It's his little segment, so he's going to be not tomorrow, but the following Thursday. He'll be here with us again. He was here this past Thursday with us, and then we also had our super Anastasia Rivers.
Yep.
And her daughter, Miss Hector, and Melody Rains. They were all here. They were talking about Fashion Link VI.
Yes.
Big fashion show coming up on November 23rd at Sunshine Mall, 12 noon to 6 p.m.
Sunday, it's a Sunday afternoon, so after church, whatever you're doing, just come on down and support them. You know, it's a fundraiser for the young lady, for the young, one of her friends, her best friend, granddaughter, that they have an operation, a major operation for in June.
Yes,
of next year. Man. So,
and then also too, some of the money is going towards the event itself.
Right.
That's happening on Sunday the 23rd at Sunshine Mall, 12 noon to 6 p.m. Come on out there.
$1 to $5 is just anything you got.
Yeah.
You know, just give a donation. You know?
Yeah. And I was thinking today, man, we should have them back on like before, man.
Before, right? Yeah, just a big event. Yeah,
it's a big event. So we'll deal with her, man. But also too, we got to give a shout out to CHS 1982, Reuben. We always give a shout out to that group as well, the Caribs. Reuben is a CHS as well, 1982. We're classmates. Give a shout out to Vanessa and Julie, 2002 and 2008, respectively. And other high schools here in the Virgin Islands, public and private class of the 80s. I heard that jam at 2+2 Soup was phenomenal.
And I was thinking about it. Was it this weekend coming or the one pass?
You got to wait till next year to catch it now.
I guess so.
They said they burned the place down. That's the one place that got burned down.
I guess.
2+2. I saw the pictures on Facebook, and I said, "Whoa!" And the fire trucks are standby there, man.
Saturday night or Sunday night?
Actually, it was. Let me see. Yesterday was a holiday, so it was Monday night.
On Monday night.
It was Monday night.
Okay,
yeah, they had the
okay.
big.
Hoopla.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have a crew that came in. They came in a couple months back to talk about the beach bash at Kramer's Park for the class at 80. So they came in here and gave us a little thing. They couldn't make it this time, but they had the event on Monday night. And it looks like it was a big success. And one more thing real quick, Soup. We do our own segment, Soup and I. Our segment is called We Have No Guest Tonight, so we are the guest. And Soup and I have done that on occasion. Soup and I just give our perspective on all kinds of stuff. And we're not going to get into that tonight, but we all know that the election system and this, that, and the other is going crazy here. We'll say that for another day. But our guest tonight is Reuben Molloy. There he is right there. Wave to the crowd one more time. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get started on the interview. Stand by. All right, we're back. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to, we've been playing the Pressure Bus Pipe music, man. He's got many songs. We played a few. We're going to play a few later on as well. But tonight, our guest is Reuben Molloy. Welcome to the high-tech, low-tech studio. And I keep forgetting to do this. Forgive me. We do have a number that they can call in on at 340-201-9005. You can text us there. We're on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until. No weekends, no Friday, no Monday.
No TV, no radio.
Most importantly, in order to see this show, you have to go to our website, streaming live from the vi.com, all one word. Click on the tab that says Watch Us Live, and guess what? You will see us live. Just that simple. Got 2 Facebook pages. One is for the talk show, It's Your Perspective Talk Show. One for streaming live from the vi.com. We're on Twitter. Hit us up, VI Perspective. And most importantly, Reuben, I'm going to tell everybody this. We are in a high-tech, low-tech studio, broadcasting from an undisclosed location
from the beautiful island of St. Croix,
Virgin Islands. And I'd like to add to that, hint, hint, wink, wink.
wink.
Anyway, moving on here. Our guest tonight is Reuben Molloy. There he is right there. Welcome to the studio, man.
Welcome,
Thanks for coming
Reuben.
out.
Thank you.
You're actually gonna have to hold the mic just a little closer, yeah, to get the fullest effect of it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Good night. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Welcome to the studio, man. Wanted to get you on here.
Yeah, you've been inviting me for a while now.
Man, hey, man, this is like the long anticipated interview, you know? Because, and the reason why I say that is because I know you're into technology and I am too. And so we just want to talk about that. You know, I talk a little bit about it on the show, about the bandwidth and this, that, and the other. And the fact that I have a show. Soup has his own segment on the show too. Where he talks about Christianity, Rastafari, Ethiopia every Thursday. But I also have which is probably going to start tonight, a technology segment. Can we live without it? And let me tell you sort of as a, where is that statement at, Soup? Yes, here, the segment that I've been talking about from the beginning of the show in April is technology. Can we live without it? Segment coming soon, upgrading to Windows 7, Eric Snowden, viruses, spyware, spam, what's better, Windows or Mac? And you know, there's many other things to that. That's all kind of technology related. So, you know, I'm just glad that you're the first person that's really come in here to talk to us about it. So I thank you, you know, much for helping us out here, man. So how you doing? Are also classmates as well.
Yes.
And you know, definitely thank you for that, man. So, as it pertains to technology, man, so what are you doing? I mean, what are you doing?
Well, as you know, I am the Chief Information Technology Officer for the government of the Virgin Islands. I am also the Director for the Bureau of Information Technology.
Okay.
Been doing that for the past 2 years, a little bit over 2 years, 2 years, 4 months.
Okay.
And prior to that, I was at the hospital,
Okay.
where I worked for 16 years.
Okay.
16 and a half years, and I was I held many responsibilities. I had many responsibilities.
Uh-huh.
But I was always over IT.
Okay.
At
Okay.
the hospital.
Okay. Okay. Big operation, I would imagine. Many servers and switches and.
Yeah. The two things that are of note when I worked at the hospital was we implemented an electronic medical record when only 25% of the hospitals on the mainland had an electronic medical record.
Okay, so adhering to HIPAA.
And it was
Okay.
HIPAA compliant.
Okay. Okay.
And it adhered to all the standards, applicable standards.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. Yeah, I had an opportunity a few years back when I was living in Florida to work at a job that was working at a computer company that implemented a solution to HIPAA using computers. It was all wireless, but it was all compliant, and that was the key thing there. But yeah, I understand. So that's still in place there. They still use that kind of stuff
Yes,
now?
they still use it, but with technology, you have to continually upgrade it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
improve it and customize it and fine tune it.
Okay.
So that it works. It does exactly what you need it to do.
Okay. Is it,
Also implemented a PACS, picture archiving communication system.
okay.
Where you take digital images of, instead of X-rays, you
Yes.
you digitize the pictures of your body and you can send them electronically.
Okay. Okay. So I guess you had like local storage for this, like gigs and terabytes and RAID 5 and all this kind of stuff there,
Yes.
that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That's good to know. And this HIPAA thing was Wi-Fi.
Everything HIPAA has to do. HIPAA standards cut across all of the technology issues.
Okay.
In
Okay.
the hospital, but it dealt primarily the primary purpose of HIPAA is to ensure the privacy and confidentiality
of the
of
patient records.
clinical information.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, man. That's important. And so many years there, and then now you're with
The Bureau of Information Technology.
Okay. Okay. So before we get into that, so I mean, I left here many years ago, hundreds of years ago, I like to say, and I've always been in technology. I left here, went into the military, and then I actually started out in satellite microwave communications in the military.
Okay.
And when I got out, it was back then it was Novell 2.15, and then then Microsoft came into the scene, and with Windows and
Took it
TSA,
over.
yeah, they took it over, and here we are now.
Yes.
Who would have ever thought about the internet back then? I mean, it's probably used in the highest levels of government, but as we see it now, who would have thought that the internet would have branched out that far?
Actually, it started in education. And,
Yes.
And I was instrumental. Prior to coming back to the Virgin Islands, I was the manager of academic computing for Adelphi University in New York.
Oh,
And,
okay.
As a system manager, I ran a VAX VMS system.
Okay.
As a system manager, we had the first dedicated connection to the internet for the university. Prior to that, they ran it on a BBS.
Yes.
Or you dial up.
You dial up, yeah.
No, we were the first to implement, and I was the system manager.
Okay.
A dedicated internet connection for a major private university.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. That's groundbreaking, man. When you think about it in the context of today now, getting internet on your cell phone, your tablet.
Of course, I'm dating myself. But that's okay.
Yeah. But when you talk about VAX VMware, I remember many years ago, early on, using those kind of systems in computer rooms. You look at your laptop, but these are like kind of big, almost bigger than this table kind of mainframe computer that's sitting there in a computer room.
When I mean, this was before my time, but when they said they had a bug in the computer, it was literally a bug in the computer.
And trust me,
It was so big.
Yeah. I VAX VMware. I'm familiar with those.
VAX VMS. yeah.
VMS. I'm sorry, VMS. VMware is just a whole nother technology.
Yeah.
So I mean, what got you into technology? I mean, early on. I mean, were you into what?
Interesting story.
Okay.
It's funny that you should ask me that. Actually, my undergraduate major at Adelphi University was psychology.
Okay.
I was working at a department store and got my first credit card. I was never really into playing games,
Okay.
and I used a credit card to buy what was then a portable computer, which was a big boat, Sonic.
Okay.
And my roommate was from Indonesia. He had all these programs, so I bought that because he had a computer and he used it to play music and mix music and stuff like that back then. And I was very impressed with it.
Okay. So this was in the 80s?
This was in the 80s.
Okay, okay.
This was in the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
When PCs first became very, very popular, and I prior to that, it was the computer. When you talk about using a computer, you're talking about using a mainframe computer.
Exactly.
So so having a portable computer, and instead of playing games, I learned different programs. Back then, the major spreadsheet program was Lotus 123.
Yes, I remember those.
The leading word processing was WordPerfect.
Yes, I remember
the
those.
leading database software was DBase.
Yeah.
2 and then DBase 3
So,
Plus.
these things he's mentioning, is real. I mean, I don't even know that an 18-year-old kid would even know what you're talking about. But I know exactly what you're talking about.
I know.
So, but what I did was I learned them
Yes.
on my own.
Okay.
So on the undergraduate level, and I used them to complete my assignments for school.
Okay.
So on the undergraduate level, I was typing my work not on a typewriter, producing it on a computer, and turning it in. So I first went to Adelphi as a biology pre-med major.
Okay.
And in my junior year, I decided that God have a sense of humor. That I I decided that I really didn't have the commitment to be 100% tied to people's life and
The
death.
medical.
So I changed my to psychology. And in my junior and senior year, I completed my psychology assignments and was handed in typewritten, computer-produced work. So 2 of my professors approached me and asked me, "What are you going to do after you graduate?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." So I said, "Well, maybe you ought to consider applying to the PhD program because you're producing graduate level work at the undergraduate level." Simply because I knew to use the computer. I knew to use a word processor. I worked at the computer center as a computer lab assistant, and that continued my learning. So I was considered a little genius because I knew how to use PC-based programs, and people were just learning to use them. So that's where it started, and I applied to the PhD program and got in. But I maintained I maintained working at the computer center. Every 1.5 to 2 years, I got a promotion. So I was in every computer department at Delphi University, and then ultimately I was the manager of academic computing. I had dual careers.
Yeah.
And then at one point, the computer career kind of took off. After, really, in a PhD program, there's 3 years of coursework. The others is independent study, looking for your dissertation topic and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that kind of lulled, and then I had at the computer center, it was very active, and we were going through many migrations. So that career kind of took off, and I paid less attention to the psychology degree and paid more attention to the computers. And then,
but you got to be a psychologist to work computers. I just have to add that in there as a disclaimer. But I just kind of a computer humor joke there. Because you got to deal with users. I mean, I've done many types of jobs in computers. I've done now I'm a network administrator, but I've done end user support. Maybe on projects where you go out and you install Cisco routers or switches in a kind of configuration. Many kind of things. But how is technology in a sense? I mean, we all know it's changed, but you obviously have been able to deal with back then and now. What's different about it? What's similar about it?
What's different about it is that using the software became easier. As
software installations?
No, just using the software as a user.
Okay.
Using Microsoft Word or using Excel.
Okay.
It became very easy, and the use of computers became very, very prevalent.
Okay.
So everyone was using the computer. That's pretty much as time progressed, as the computer industry evolved, um, you could do many things, just do
Yes.
everything on the computer.
Okay.
Right now I use my iPad or another one of my portable computers. By
Okay.
the way, I have like 4 different computers.
Okay.
I have to know everything, so I have to be able to give advice on every platform. So I
So
expose myself
you
to
have
all.
iPad, you have the Windows, and what are the other two?
Surface 3. I actually have a MacBook Pro,
Okay. Okay.
and I have my phone,
Okay. Okay.
which now you can do just about anything on your phone.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty
You
much.
can do on the computer.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Okay. Okay. Reuben is our guest tonight. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right. We are back. It's about 8:43 p.m. It's the It's Your Perspective Talk Show, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until. Link us up on Facebook. Telephone number for our guest tonight, Reuben Molloy, is 340-201-9005. There he is right there. We have 2 Facebook pages. We're on Twitter, VI Perspective. No radio, no TV. You got to go on our website, streaming live from the vi.com in order to see the show. Go to that site, click on the tab that says Watch Us Live, and Soup, guess what?
They will see us live.
It's just that simple, man. Just that simple. But our guest tonight is Reuben Molloy. We're just going to continue on here in the conversation here. We're just talking about technology. Reuben's been around probably in a sense as long as I have been, so he's seen a lot. Things change. But one of the things that I have on my sheet here is Eric Snowden. I know you know who he is and what he's done. What are your thoughts on Eric Snowden, man? Did he do the right thing? Should he go to jail? I mean, I in a sense think he did the right thing. I mean, I just hate to know that in a sense Big Brother is watching. But I also know too, and I say that I also know too because I've been in networking so long, that networks have always been monitored. There's always been some way to monitor what's going on, and so the internet's here now. And
So what do you think that happens? Because the people them are wary of the citizens, or what? What do you think?
I think now, it's used for monitoring, conversations. I think it's being used to track things. It's all sort of tied into the government and watching people. I'm not for that. I think it should be. I think it should be a little bit more free.
you're capable of doing it very easily.
Say again?
I think it happens because technology allows you to do it very easily.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that networks have always been. I mean, every network I've worked on has always been some kind of monitoring capability where you could run a report, or you could pop in, do some console of some sort as an administrator and just see what's going on. And
Let me talk about the other side of the issue.
okay,
The internet is also secure.
it is.
It isn't when you implement some type of a system, you implement, as David could tell you, security certificates.
Yes.
That
Yes.
ensure that the communication between points is secure.
It's secure, right?
And there are other levels of security that gets implemented, encryption and all that. So it's not like everything that goes over the internet is easily monitored. It isn't. It takes some programming, hacking to be able to do it.
Okay.
So that's, I don't want to feed into the paranoia or fear
Yes.
of computers.
No, I'm not.
and your communication being unsecure.
No, it's not. And let me just say that the internet communication is secure. When I go on Amazon.com and I want to do my credit card, it switches to the SSL. It's very secure. All that stuff should be and the transmission between A and B is secure. It's encrypted, and it is safe. Don't get me wrong, but as safe as it is, it's also being
Things
monitored.
happen.
It's being monitored too.
And having said that, it's safe, but there have been some very public examples, Target being one, of where systems were hacked because of security hole.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? A lot of places have gotten hacked. You know, they come in and get your names, your address, your computer number, your card number. I've been pretty fortunate as a network administrator never to have anybody come onto my network. I mean, I'm pretty, when you think of big corporations like Target and some of these others, and I shouldn't call names, but online retail outlets getting hacked, and then millions of numbers are exposed.
There was one right here too, right? In the VI too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, Home Depot is here. Here again, I shouldn't have said that, but anyway, and Home Depot is a national company. But I haven't heard anybody say, specifically that their card was hacked. But I read it many times on CNN, on the line, and a lot of other companies. I mean, what are your thoughts on that kind of stuff? The security. I mean, just hacking in general.
Well, in any society, there'll always be a negative influence, and they're not to be pessimistic, but there'll be crime.
Yes.
There'll be people who are trying to game the system. So we have to continue to make the systems more and more secure, and enforce when folks are caught doing things that they shouldn't be, or accessing information that they shouldn't be, that they are held accountable.
Okay.
As a deterrent, as far as that goes.
Yeah. If I could ask you, have you ever been hacked? Maybe you have a home network. To your knowledge, have you ever been hacked?
That's a tricky question. I belong to this society as part of this job. I belong to the National Association of State Chief Information Officers, and I have exposure to all the state CIOs, Chief Information Officers, and have been sat through many security presentations. And every time I sit through one, I come away feeling violated, or because they talk about there are only two people in the world: those who've been hacked and those who don't know they've been hacked.
Okay.
So I don't want to feed the paranoia about negatives of using a computer, but it's just like any, computers are very prevalent, so criminals will find a way to exploit it to gain from it illegally.
But as we talk about that, what do you use on your computer for? Like I call it OS utilities. What kind of spyware products do you use? Spam, any kind of spam? And you give us some idea.
Well, one of the popular ones is like Norton Utilities and stuff. I don't use Norton.
Okay.
We use Microsoft. I forgot what it's called right now, but we something Defender. We use Microsoft
Windows Defender.
Windows Defender.
Yes.
And that has done a pretty good job. We make sure that the firewall is enabled. We do from a local PC perspective, all that is recommended to do to secure your computer.
Okay.
Keep it in mind. There are viruses, which are like programs, and then there's spyware, which sits in the background and collects information and then transmits it to someplace else. So that's one of the things that I've learned. People really don't make that distinction.
Yes.
They lump it all as viruses.
Yes.
But you obviously know, because in your question you separated the two.
Yes.
So there's viruses and then there's malware.
Yes. So I guess you were talking about the Windows. So this is your work, but I mean on your personal computers, what do you?
Windows Defender.
Windows Defender. Nothing on your tablet. Nothing on your Mac. Antivirus. Nothing. Okay. Because I don't have anything running on my Mac. So on my Windows machine, I have a few utilities running to keep it sort of nice and tidy, and protect it a little bit more. The Macs do well, but I'm of the belief too that. When malicious write viruses, they're writing it more for Windows machine because obviously there are more Windows machine out there. But
Right.
the Mac population is growing. There was just an alert, just maybe even last week, about something with the Macs. Had to make sure that everything was nice and tight, or else that you risk a chance of getting infected. But I always like to say, man, it's always just useful to have these utilities run. That's what they're there for. You have to run them. If you pay the money for them, they'll run automatically in the background. But they're there for a reason, to help you keep your machine free of these kind of malicious things. One of the biggest pet peeves too, Reuben, is that I work on computers on the side too. But one of the biggest pet peeves is that when someone gets a laptop or a computer and they set it up for the first time, obviously they use the administrator account, but what they continue to do is use the administrator account for day-to-day activity, and that's like
That's
a
not
no-no.
recommended. That's
Yeah.
not recommended.
I spend countless hours a day, a week, explaining to people that you can't do that. You have to have an administrator account for administrative things, and you have to have a non-administrator account. You
And
know,
the reason why is because for any kind of malicious software to work, it has to have privilege.
yes,
And in your day-to-day use of the computer, you don't need that high level of privilege. So the recommendation, what David is saying, the recommendation is to have a privileged account where when you need to install something or change some configuration, you use that. But in your day-to-day use of the computer, you use an account that has only the required privilege,
yes.
and not.
Yeah, I see that all the time. People, I work on laptops on the side, and I say, "Oh man, this is the biggest problem. That's why your computer's so infected, because you've been using it in your day-to-day surfing the internet, and your machine's just fully infected." So I had to explain that, change it around, and they seem to be a little happier.
Did you? I just noticed that. Did you put that there intentionally?
Put what there?
CHS class of 1982.
No, no, been there.
That was always there.
Yeah, that was always there. Yeah, yeah, that's our.
We're not looking through it.
That's one of our.
I know. So funny you said it, because I was going to ask her if she wanted to, but a good thing I didn't. So you did. You did. So
We have classmates that post pictures, throwback pictures
Yeah.
that have us in them. So she's seen them.
Yeah, my mother actually had my yearbook over the years. It's still in like mint condition. It's just a talking piece when people come here. Everybody's, oh, you guys, what year? We're in '82. Oh, really? Just. But anyway, let's get back to technology, man. So, I mentioned Eric Snowden. He released some information that he should.
He was a contractor for the federal government working on secure systems, and became aware of what he interpreted as improper the government looking at personal information for U.S. citizens, and decided to become a whistleblower, but he did it in a huge way. But one of the things that concerns me about it is, if he truly wanted to do the right thing, why did he go to China? Why did he end up in Russia? Or did he give that information to the Chinese or the Russian? And it would be naive of the United States to believe that the Russians and the Chinese and other countries who we do not enjoy a very good relationship with, political relationship, that they're not trying to get whatever information they can on U.S. citizens and on the U.S. military and the U.S. in general. So,
yeah, one of the things that I always find interesting is that I guess it's public knowledge, common knowledge, that China has always been the number one suspicious hacker of government agencies, and even major industry, online shopping.
China doesn't respect the United States copyright laws.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Doesn't.
Okay.
You can go to China on a Chinese site and get anything. You can get movies. You can anyway. I'm not
Okay.
going that, but China does
So they're a
not
little more
respect
open.
U.S. copyright. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. One One of the questions that we ask everybody, most people, just as a part of this coming soon technology segment that I'm starting here with Reuben Molloy, he's our guest tonight, is we cannot live without it. The other thing I talk about is, what's better, Windows or Mac? I know you have a little bit of everything, but honestly, I've switched. I like Mac better. I think it's just much more of a stable computer than a Windows. You've messed with Windows 7, Windows 8, I would assume, in some capacity.
I'm currently running Windows 8.1 on my Surface Pro 3.
Okay, that's the newest. That's their newest device, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The i7 Surface Pro 3.
Okay.
I go back and forth. Like you mentioned, the Mac is a much more stable platform and was generally used for creative types. If you want to deal with video and do artistic type things, the Mac was seen as a desktop publishing. The Mac was seen as a preferable platform to do that. But then now there's really no difference as far as user friendliness. Macs came up as being much more user friendly and had the reputation of being much more user friendly. That user friendliness gap has, all but been eliminated now with Microsoft's new version of their operating system, Windows 8, and soon to be Windows 10. So this is the history. Again, I'm dating myself. Mac came up as a proprietary operating system. In order to, Apple was the only one who could write software for it, or if you wrote software for it, it had to go through Apple. IBM came up as a more open environment. Before, I said IBM.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I meant to say was IBM was the leading vendor, and they set the standard for DOS-based or Windows-based machines.
Yeah.
So other manufacturers could make compatible machines that worked with DOS or Windows. DOS is a predecessor to Windows.
You remember DOS Soup?
No.
Yeah.
Disk operating system.
Yes.
Again, we're dating ourselves.
Yeah. We've come a long way. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's all I can say. And so the compatibility of so there was a gap between levels of compatibility, there was levels of compatibility. The better a vendor could write or could create a output device, a printer or something to work on a IBM compatible, we'll call IBM compatible machine. Now it's just called Windows based machines. So there wasn't always 100% compatibility. While in the Mac environment, since Mac it was proprietary and and Apple took total control over it, and their quality standards were such that it had to work properly. It just worked better. It was the user experience was better.
Mm-hmm.
So Mac gained the reputation of being a better operating system. But now, like I said, with the latest development in Windows operating system, that gap is sort of, it still isn't as tight as the Apple Macintosh is, but it's very, very close.
Very close. Okay. What's your favorite as far as cell phone? Android or the iPhone, or you just no preference, or as long as the call goes through, I'm happy.
We have two. No, we have two sections in our family: the Android users,
Okay.
and the Apple users.
Okay.
And we love each other, but we're at war with each other. I am iPhone. That's the truth.
Okay.
I am an iPhone user.
Okay.
I prefer the iPhone. iOS, but I also, for work and for compatibility reasons, use a Windows phone. So my work self is a Windows based phone, and this is the work phone, so Windows based phone. This is the camera that has phone features. This is the Windows phone that has the 41 megapixel camera on it.
Oh, really? Okay, so you're getting crisp pictures, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the iPhone 6.
Oh, whoa. He already got the iPhone 6. Mine order is still on hold. It's still out there. Wow, man, that's good, man. So how do you like the iPhone 6?
I like it. As far as difference between the 5 and 6, you know, for me it wasn't that much of a difference. But every version of iOS that comes out, the phone becomes faster and becomes more user friendly. What I really like about the iPhone is that really there's an app for that, and similar to what I was explaining about, the Android is a more open environment and doesn't have the same level of security. You know, I read a lot, as you know, because you like my stuff on my Facebook page. I do a lot of reading, and you know, I see articles talking about that Android is secure as the iPhone or iOS, but really, historically, traditionally, it isn't. The Android phones were less secure than the iOS phones.
Okay, okay. I got the Android, and I got the show phone is an iPhone. And, you know, when I hit send and the call goes through, I'm pretty happy. So.
Yeah. One of the things that Android users like to talk about was the size of the phone, which now Apple has closed that gap, and also the one of the features that went over big with Android and that wasn't in the iPhone was the predictive
typing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That went over big and was on the Android prior to it being on the iPhone.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, our guest tonight is Reuben Molloy. There he is right there. This is the It's Your Perspective talk show. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. It's Your Perspective talk show, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until. My name is David, a.k.a. Kimba, a.k.a. Christian, alongside.
Kamba Soup Kata.
Yeah, Soup, we're back, man.
Yes,
we have
sir.
Reuben Molloy in the studio here. We're just going to continue on a little bit here.
Yeah, Reuben, like when we were taking a break, I was asking you if the whole government system is if they sound, if the system is sound. Could you elaborate on that?
I'm so happy you asked that question. No, because we're very proud of what we've been able to do under my leadership at BIT. And I before I go, I'd just like to say that I was the only difference. The personnel who were always there.
Right.
Tremendous potential, and we exploited that, and we've been able to accomplish a lot. When I first got the position,
Uh-huh.
the governor, Governor DeYoung, gave me two priorities. He said address the communications system and fix the email system. So went out and looked at email solutions and implemented and found Office 365, went through the change management process, and ultimately implemented Office 365. Office 365 included email, Microsoft Office Professional Plus, Link, and SharePoint. In implementing Office 365, there were Exchange portion of Office 365 we centralized the email system for the entire government.
If I could ask real quick, does the government use Exchange server or?
Yes.
Okay.
In the cloud.
Yes.
Office 365 is a cloud-based software.
Yes.
So what I first did was I put together a strategic framework. There are two things that are specifically my responsibility as the agency head, and that is to create a vision
Right.
and to provide leadership, to make sure that the folks in the department have the resources that they needed to be able to accomplish our objectives. With the governor's support, put together a strategic framework that goal was to change the culture of computing in the United States Virgin Islands by leveraging innovative technological solutions to facilitate the business of government in a citizen-centric environment. Again, we're talking about making sure everything that you do has to be user-based, citizen-centric. Yeah, the needs have to drive what happens. The goals of that strategic framework was to improve the efficiency of government, to reduce the cost of government, to increase the revenue-generating potential of revenue-generating agencies, to improve employee engagement, to improve citizen engagement, and in general to improve the quality of life for residents and visitors to the Virgin Islands. We adopted 4 primary strategies for accomplishing our strategic framework, accomplishing our mission, our goal. And those were consolidation, collaboration, cloud, and being a change agent. What we did was we took that strategic framework and applied it to our environment. And what we focused on was establishing the technology infrastructure. So having a consolidated one email system for the entire government, that's one of our major initiatives.
Is that all rolled out its entirety, or
Yeah, it's
okay?
about 70. It's about a little bit over 70% of the government agencies use the centralized government's email system.
Okay.
So now you can, and there's one convention, and there's one
Yeah. Domain name
Domain
is pretty critical. Yeah.
domain name.
Yeah, it's
for,
very critical to
for
that.
access and everybody. So, it facilitates efficiency. You
Yes.
don't have to look up
Yeah.
somebody's address independently. You look in one master
Yeah.
list,
Address list. Yeah.
address list, and you minimize the situation of leaving somebody out because you didn't know, you didn't
Yeah.
find them in the list and you didn't find them.
Yeah.
So that was done.
But-
we also put together private cloud. So all the IT resources that the agencies would need to implement innovative solutions is already there.
Okay.
So it shortened the time for the implementation of IT projects. Just so you know, efficiency cannot be achieved without automation.
Okay.
So a part of any strategy that's implemented has to include information technology, has to include automation.
Okay. Okay.
We established a teleconferencing infrastructure. What makes me the happiest is last Friday, for example,
With all that rain.
with all that rain, at the seaplane was one agency's, all of their St. Croix leaders, all of their managers and leaders. They were going over to St. Thomas to have a agency leadership meeting. Because of the rain, they couldn't make it over. The director for Vitima, who is a big proponent and a partner in what's going on in improving government operations, picked up the phone and called me and said, the agency was Human Services. Can Human Services use your video conference room on St. Thomas and St. Croix because they can't get over, the flights are delayed for 2 hours? Said yes. So they held their meeting. There was about 12 people in the room, a little bit over 12 people in the room.
Right.
So that's 12 times about $200
Yeah, for flight.
that was saved on that one day.
Yeah.
Yes, I.
Yeah.
Yes, I.
So that is
Yeah.
exactly why we implemented
Okay.
the sorts of things that we've implemented.
Okay.
So we've also, one of our major projects, which is one of your pet peeves, is the proliferation of affordable high-speed bandwidth for all government agencies, and that is leveraging the VI-NGN infrastructure, grant money paid for us to leverage to implement that infrastructure. When that grant was written before but when I came on board, I think it was in 2010. The United States Virgin Islands was 53 out of 56 U.S. jurisdictions in having broadband bandwidth above 3 megs.
Oh, really? Okay.
What position we stand right now?
I don't have the latest number, but we have had to increase. Improve.
Oh, okay.
But we're changing, we're transforming as far as bandwidth access concerned in the territory by leveraging the 100% fiber via NGN middle mile.
Yeah. So
I recently set, I'm sorry, David. I recently set, as the Chief Information Technology Officer for the government, one of my responsibilities is to set policy, set standards for the government. I recently set a minimum of 100 megabyte standard for government agencies.
Okay.
There are exceptions. There are some agency locations that have 2 people, 3 people.
Yes.
Obviously,
Yes.
Right.
But with Office 365, we've also implementing a video conferencing bridge. That means that you can use any mobile device to connect to the teleconferencing infrastructure. So the Polycom equipment that's on the you can use your phone, you can use your iPad, you can use your tablet, you can whatever to connect to it, and you can meet and collaborate regardless of where you are.
Where you are, yeah.
So all of these initiatives require significant amounts of bandwidth.
Yes.
Affordable bandwidth.
Yes.
Because prior to VINGN it was not affordable.
Okay.
Reuben, can you explain to us what's the role of VINGN right now in the territory, if that's feasible?
Based on my understanding and sitting through several presentations and in meetings with VINGN's responsibility was to implement the BTAP grant, broadband something. I forgot what BTAP stands for.
Right.
But the territory applied for and received a grant to lay 100% fiber throughout the territory. Their responsibility was to meet the objectives.
This is just for the private citizens, not for the government agencies. This is just
for everyone,
households, the whole entire territory.
For the entire territory.
Okay.
They started with the grant paid for the connection of over 350, I believe it was, government locations to run the last mile. They paid for the connection. Last mile is the connection from the middle mile infrastructure to the building. The grant paid and the equipment. The grant paid for that for over 300 and something. They're called community anchor institutions.
Okay.
And they include government offices, medical facilities, schools, libraries. So it wasn't only government.
Okay.
So now those community anchor institutions can access the affordable high-speed bandwidth through an authorized ISPs. Right now there are 9 authorized ISPs
in the territory.
Okay.
That means 9 ISPs who have engaged in a contract with VINGN to to allow the use of the VI-NGN middle
Yeah.
mile.
These 9 ISPs are the ones that are going to bring the service to your home, basically, and
Correct.
tie into the middle mile, which is VI-NGN. Okay. My understanding early on with VI-NGN, like you mentioned there, was that it was going to be for everybody, but I always wondered, what at what cost? How much does a meg cost?
Well, it depends on how much you're buying.
I want to get 1 meg. I mean,
But well, 1 meg isn't. The how you determine, how you standardize the cost in order to compare it is you do the per meg rate. And for example, I have as the CIO, Chief Information Technology Officer, I have to approve all IT purchases, IT and communication purchases. So I'm aware of what each agency was paying for bandwidth.
Okay.
It was around $200 to $150 per meg.
Okay.
Okay.
$150 per meg?
After VI-NGN came on board, it came down to about $40 per meg. Then it dropped to, now it's about $10 or less per meg.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's pretty cheap.
Yes.
That's pretty cheap.
This is a part of a national agenda to give all U.S. citizens access to affordable, high-speed bandwidth.
Yes.
The standard that I set was taken directly from the President Obama's initiative to ensure that there's 1 meg, that schools have 1 gigabyte
Yes.
access. Schools, medical institutions, and libraries. 1 gig access.
Yes.
And 1 gig is 1,000 megabytes.
Yes. That's a lot of bandwidth, especially if you imagine having a 1 gig, connection at the library in town, and just if you can envision the inside of it, how many computers are in there. That's a lot of bandwidth dedicated to the library.
And it's to promote distance learning.
Yes.
To promote streaming video.
Yes. Yes.
So that it's usable.
Okay.
If you don't have sufficient bandwidth, it becomes unusable. It becomes annoying to you.
Yes.
Because you continue to get drops.
Yes. And Sue hears me say it all the time. It's unusable. It's just like you're buffering, and it's just you want to go on to something else. I know exactly what you mean, man. I experienced a lot of buffering the other night when they had the just sort of a switch off here. When they had the testimony at the courthouse, not the legislature in West, it was streaming. I saw the streaming edition of it, and I was always buffering, and then I would just pop off the page and come back on and reconnect, and then it would go 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, then it would drop, and I'd reconnect. But it spoils your user experience.
People on the mainland, and it spoils your experience and discourages you from using it.
Yes.
Appropriately. And that's our environment here.
Yes.
Progress is being made, but progress is being made too slowly.
Yes.
Not fast enough.
Okay.
On the mainland, as you know, homes have access to 100 meg and above.
Very easily.
Because our culture has changed. We're relying more on Netflix, Hulu Plus, and Amazon Prime streaming. You no longer have this operation doesn't use a radio, doesn't use a TV. It's streaming.
Yes.
That's how our culture has changed.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I've been saying throughout, that's developing a need.
Yes.
And it's up to the industry to respond and support that need so that you can have a pleasant experience, a normal experience in the territory.
Yeah.
Because they're having it on the mainland.
Yeah.
And when you stream videos or when you do what everyone else is doing, when you use Netflix.
So Reuben,
no, go ahead, Sue. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Is there a possibility that in the near future that the homes in the VI will have each home will have access to internet and without have to pay this enormous amount of money for it?
Yes. I recall Larry Kupfer, who's the president of VINGN, saying after, I think, the September-October board meeting that the focus was going to be on commercial and residential
After when?
customers,
After.
like right now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Like,
Okay.
In this time period now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's up to the ISPs to get you that bandwidth, give you access to that bandwidth, because they're the middle mile providers.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to ask you.
I mean, the last mile providers, sorry.
Yes. But I wanted to ask you about. You talk about Microsoft 360. Is that what it's called?
265.
365. And you talked about email and it all being sort of centralized, but explain to them what they're using on the desktop. Are they using Outlook, or what's going on there on the desktop side for them to access this cloud to get their email?
Again, Microsoft Office 365 is Microsoft's cloud-based solutions for giving you access to their programs and services. So it has four major components: Exchange in the cloud. That is the Exchange is, you would access the Exchange by either using a browser or an Outlook client. You would access your email. It's being stored somewhere in the Microsoft data center throughout the United States and the world. So you have access to your mail using the Outlook client. It also gives you access to Microsoft Office Professional Plus, which includes the latest version of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Publisher, Access, and all those tools, office automation tools that you use. And by the way, in the goals, in the strategic framework, employee engagement is one of the goals. Microsoft Office 365 and enabling government employees to have the tools, the basic tools, automation tools that they need to do their job, goes a long way in improving the employees' morale and efficiency. Then there's Microsoft Link, which offers video conferencing to the desktop. Just like Skype or FaceTime does. If you know, all of those initiatives require significant amounts of bandwidth to work properly. And I also offer SharePoint. SharePoint is a collaboration platform that allows you to store files but maintain version control, control the workflow, and just allows you to be much more efficient and store all your. We have that in the government of the United States Virgin Islands now. You know, I get really disappointed when I hear all the negative talk about the government of the Virgin Islands, when in light of all this. So I relish opportunities like this to be able to say it's not nearly as bad as folks will have you believe it is.
Right.
Government employees have access to what I just talked about, the environment that I have talked about, which is state of the art, private cloud, email collaboration tools in the cloud, video conferencing infrastructure, video conference to the desktop, collaboration tools that allow you to. Microsoft Link allows you to have a session over the internet, and you can project a document. It gives you a whiteboard. You can all work on the same document. If you want to, you can all give control to the other persons, the other participants. All of this is available right now.
Okay.
In the government of the United States Virgin Islands.
Okay.
Is it been implemented, Reuben?
The Microsoft Office went live April of 2013.
So how is the user? Is it? I mean, what I mean implemented are the the staff or the workers more engaged in it now? Are they more
Like receptive.
participating in it, or they just like brush it off?
We
It's
have
there, but we don't
adapted.
use it.
We have adapted the perspective, the mantra. If you build it, they will come. Rather than based on what had gone on in the past, rather than force things down people's throat,
Right.
we have implemented it and said, look at what we're capable of doing right now. I can save you money. When we first implemented Office 365 and Exchange, DPNR, the commissioner for DPNR, who was a personal friend, called me and said, it was in the middle of we were requested to cut our budget another 5% in the middle of the budget year.
Right.
It would actually amounted to a 3% cut. She was that DPNR was using Google Mail as their emails for their email solution. She was paying $5,000 per month for Google Mail.
Yes.
So she was offering that $5,000 per month, multiplied out for the year, and offering that to satisfy portion of the 5% cut.
Okay.
So
Okay.
she said, "Can we do it?" Within 2 or 3 weeks, we were able to get DPNR up and running in Office 365, and then they were able to save that $5,000.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, I guess it does have a cost saving effect as well.
All of our initiatives fall in one or more of our goals: cost saving, efficiency improving, improving employee engagement, improving citizen engagement, or allowing agencies to be more efficient, revenue generating agencies to be more efficient, and which allows them to focus on their primary responsibility. So their IT folks are focusing on implementing the systems that are used to facilitate the generation of more revenue, as opposed to working on email,
Yes.
and deploying patches to
Yes.
to Microsoft. It just in general makes everyone more efficient.
Yes.
Gives you the access to the latest technology for a lot less.
Any Macs in your network?
My
Yeah. Like in,
I try to be as efficient as possible. My device is a laptop. Since I have Office of St. Croix and St. Thomas and I travel a lot, initially my device of preference was a Mac.
okay.
I ran VMware, because
Yeah.
access to the ERP system, the Enterprise Resource System, which is the main financial system,
Yes.
human resource system for the government, is a Windows-based program.
Okay.
So I had to have VMware running. So I had a Windows environment running in the Mac environment.
Yes.
But it was a Mac.
Okay.
But then Microsoft came out. We're basically a Microsoft shop.
Okay. Okay.
And Microsoft Surface 3 came out. Our bets are off.
Yeah.
This
Dude.
device is a portable device. This is what I have here.
Okay.
Portable device. It's a tablet. It's a laptop. It's a desktop replacement.
Okay.
I have a docking station on St. Croix. I have a docking station on St. Thomas with a large monitor.
Okay.
So when I'm on St. Croix, I just go and I stick this into the docking station.
Yeah.
And I have an external keyboard, a full-size keyboard.
Yes.
And I have access to.
Everything. Yeah. Yeah.
When I go on St. Thomas, I unplug it. I go home. I work from home. I'm working on the same device.
Yeah.
I go to St. Thomas. I plug it in. Exact same environment because.
Yeah. That's all. That's all. Yeah. One of the things you mentioned in conversation that you talk about, I guess you were saying IT and then communications. So when you say communications to me, that's more a thing of like the way police officers communicate. So talk a little bit more about that part of it, because it's two different things. It's all communications and it's probably some computers involved, but we're talking more
They're
about
all converging, they're all merging,
Yeah.
but they're two separate things. Two primary responsibilities, two overarching responsibilities for the Bureau of Information Technology. One is IT, which we've just been discussing, but the second one is the design, deployment and maintenance of the emergency communications network. Right now, that's a LAN mobile radio network.
Okay.
So all the radios I thought I had my radio connected. All the radios that the public safety professionals use connect to this radio network. The 911 dispatchers, there's a more correct name for them, but I keep forgetting it.
Emergency responders.
The 911 dispatchers, they communicate with the emergency responders, the first responders, via this network. This is how they communicate.
Okay.
We have a project. There are some problems, again, being user driven. There are a lot of complaints with the system.
Okay.
Because and we did an assessment and determined that there are three major causes of the complaints. One is there are a large number of dead spots.
Okay.
We estimate that the current coverage for the radio network throughout the territory is about 85%.
Okay.
It needs to be about 95% or above.
Okay. Okay.
So wherever there's a dead spot, like on your cell phone, a dead spot, I don't really like to compare it because people tend to compare to talk about cell phone towers, which are different from these emergency communication towers. Cell phone towers there needs to be more cell phone towers and shorter towers. These LAN mobile radios are taller towers, and there are fewer of them.
Okay. Okay.
So
just some more towers in a more strategic places would really
exactly
fill that whole gap.
And we have a plan that supposed to offer 95%, at least 95% coverage.
Okay.
And we've been trying to implement that from since I got there. Like I said, that's one of the first things the governor told me to do.
Okay.
Address the complaints.
So that's 911, that's ambulance, that's
EMS, fire, VIPD,
okay.
VITEMA,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
the DPNR enforcement officers,
Okay.
all law enforcement.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I guess at 85%, I guess communications may be dropped if you're cruising in certain areas, I guess.
Yeah, 'cause when you go a certain place in the
Yeah.
west, if you go a certain place out east end,
Yeah.
you have no service. So that means 911 won't be able to access you neither.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we have a project, approximately $2.6 million project, which we have tried to get the funding for. We have used some existed monies and reprogrammed them to get started, but in order to complete the project and address those, the first thing is dead spots. The second thing is congestion in the system. In designing the system, there are some towers that have 3 channels and some towers that have 6 channels or 10 channels or 8 channels. The thought back then was that trying to anticipate that the areas that would have the most traffic would need the most channels. But that logic, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So essentially, the system was wherever the least number of channels were located, that determined the capacity of the system,
Yes.
of the radio network. So it's basically a 3-channel network.
Okay.
We need to expand. We call it the channel equalization project or portion of this project, where we make each of the towers 6 channels.
Okay.
So the entire network would be 6-channel network.
Okay.
A 6-channel network system.
Okay.
Then basic use of the radio. There's a tendency, for example, to do everything on the main channel.
The main channel, yeah.
When there's an the system has a capacity to, whenever there's an incident, that you can say
Divert it to
go to this channel, and you have a channel where only you and the participants in that incident can talk.
Yes.
And it's not heard throughout the entire system.
Right.
Yes.
Secure.
That's not done.
You secure that
Exactly.
and that routine.
That's not done.
Okay.
So what needs to get done? What needs to be done for that to happen?
User training.
User training.
Oh, so the equipment will do it? It's already in place, or you
Yes.
need to order the equipment and get it installed and all that?
No. We need to add 2 more towers, and change some towers, shift some towers, and that requires money,
Yes.
we need to increase the number of channels on certain network, certain towers. So that's going to cost. That's going to need
Yeah.
more equipment and cost. Then the backhaul for that is an IP-based network.
Yes.
So
And as you mentioned IP, I wanted to ask you: do you guys using IP phones in the government there, or is it still regular?
one of our projects is a unified voice over IP
Okay.
telephone system for the entire government.
Okay.
When I first came on to the Bureau of Information Technology, there were two separate telephone systems for St. Croix and St. Thomas.
Okay.
And what we did, but there was a capability of using the one system on both islands. So with minimal investment, we were able to deploy one telephone network, one telephone system on St. Croix, and that is the foundation for expanding to all government agencies. So
Okay.
you imagine calling one number in the government and being able to reach any agency via 5 or whatever digit extension.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's capable.
Yeah.
We have the foundation of that
Yeah.
right now.
And that's bandwidth. Having bandwidth too. That's another piece of bandwidth that's going to be taken up on phone calls
Exactly.
as part of that's my bandwidth.
Our private cloud is also a part of the territory's disaster preparedness, disaster recovery rather, and business continuity platform.
Okay.
So the idea is, the plan is that the private cloud, which is located in BIT's data center, it's a centralized data center, will, for 10 or more, however we decide, critical systems, it'll be replicated, not backed up. You know the difference between replication and
Yes.
backup, right?
Yes. Yes.
Replication is real time.
Real
Yeah.
time.
Yes.
Replicated to a data center in Puerto Rico.
Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
So our data will be secure and protected.
Okay.
And all of the government's data will be.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
So that's right now. We have all of that, everything that I described.
Right.
You know, it was funny when we first developed the strategic framework. We went on a tour where we wanted to expose everyone to our strategic framework that we put together. So we were talking about, this is what we're going to do. Of course, it was met with great skepticism, but we put our head down and quietly, because we had confidence in ourselves. We know we had the support of the governor. By the way, this everything that I talk about here was only possible because the governor supported the
Yeah.
strategic plan.
Yeah.
After we came up with it, we presented it to him. He asked us tough questions. He told us about the business continuity, disaster recovery component.
Yeah.
Had to be a part of it there. There was and then he reiterated that after Sandy, Hurricane Sandy,
Yes.
Yes.
devastated
New Jersey, New York.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
called all the cabinet together on a meeting and said, well, not all the cabinet, so key cabinet, and said, so this is only possible. This has only been possible because the governor has been 100% behind these initiatives. But also the OMB director. When we went on this tour, we presented the plan, and people listened. One of the persons was the OMB director. So when we were asked to make another cut, on top of cut, the OMB director said, believing in me, believing in us, said, put your money where your mouth is. When she sent out the strategies for achieving the cuts, they included use of all of our initiatives.
Oh, really?
That's
Okay.
how. That's
the
how.
selling point. Yeah.
That's how you support
Yeah. Yeah.
automation and deployment of technology.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
So the Commissioner for Property and Procurement, another critical person, the Attorney General, because as the industry moves towards cloud-based solutions and managed solutions, you no longer, it moves the acquisition of IT hardware and resources from a capital purchase to an operational.
Yeah, that's because of,
So attorneys are used to, well, I need to have something and touch something. I need to own something. This was shifting the paradigm in that you don't own it. You don't want to own it. You want the services. What you want is the services.
from it. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was hard to get that, but the Attorney General supported it and kept at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else? Those were the four major.
'Cause a lot of people don't realize when you have big networks like the government does have here, I would consider it to be a big network. You know, a lot of money is spent on hardware. Lots of money, even more than salaries. You know, you're spending big money on hardware. You know, from routers to firewalls, switches, and all, and then PCs and whatever you're using for the end there. Plus, you know, well, you're still going to need a T1 circuit, but also to a thing of licenses. Licenses can add up. You know, and you got, you know, 600.
We have a enterprise licensing agreement with Microsoft.
Okay.
Again, we focused on all the infrastructure things that all of the agencies have in common in an effort to provide the necessary services, but in leveraging the economies of scale.
Okay.
Leveraging the fact that it's, instead of BIT has 19 employees, instead of buying it for 19 employees, buying it for 8,000 employees,
Yes.
6,000 employees.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions, Soup?
No, I'm good.
Well, Reuben, it's about 9:48, and Soup, I don't know if you noticed that look. Did you see that look on Reuben? We sit here and we do these shows and we look at our guests, and around about this time they get what we call the glazed over look. And I saw that on your face, and I thought, okay, we got to start wrapping this
You
up.
know, struggling for business, disaster recovery or disaster preparedness. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, we
Get
saw that
back.
look. So we're gonna just probably do another 10 minutes. But what I wanted to ask you, moving forward now, I mean, you know, take us 2, 3, 4 years ahead with the technology that you'd like to implement for end user, because I know the infrastructure is going to pretty much be the same with the fiber and the routers, but the end user experience. I mean, do you see all employees having tablets? Maybe the network being completely wireless. I mean, what do you envision more centralized? 'Cause I know there's a talk too of having a centralized location for all government agencies being built somewhere here on St. Croix, maybe one in St. Thomas. But if that were to come true, you know, as far as end user support, I mean, not support, but what would you like to see happen with the technology? You know, 2, 3 years from now.
Again, like I said, as far as like the telephone system, having one telephone system for the entire government, make it easier to locate people within the government. Having, basically, it is a continuation of and the expansion of these infrastructure type initiatives that I just laid out.
But when is that initiative? I mean, that initiative probably has an end date, right? I mean, when do you see all this stuff coming into play, like IP and all this other stuff? I mean, this is now, or this is 3 years from now?
No, I mean, like for the email system, 70% of the users.
Yeah, I know the email is okay, but what about like IP phones for everybody's desk? I mean, is that, you know?
A lot of agencies already have voice over IP
phones? Okay.
It's just, they're just separate systems.
Okay. So what I wasn't clear is whether they had it, but you're saying they do, but it's not, everybody has their own separate network. Okay, I understand completely. Okay. Well, it's about 9:50 now, and we like to ask our guests, is there anything that you want to mention, say, maybe we forgot to ask you, you know, in closing, that you want to say to the crowd?
Well, I just like to say again, David and
Ras Soup.
Thank you for having me and giving me the opportunity to tell the listeners, viewers, some of the good things that are currently occurring within the government of the United States Virgin Islands. And,
Okay.
That we need to continue to expand them and see them to fruition. One of the problems I see in our community, and it's in other communities too, is that we don't stay the course long enough. We don't have the patience or the commitment to stay the course long enough for something to come to fruition.
Okay.
We instead of achieving a goal in a straight line, we go in different directions and want to achieve the goal, but there's one way of doing it.
Yes.
We need to put our egos aside and recognize that it's not about us individually. It's about the greater good.
Yes.
It's about our community.
Yes.
And
And as you said, do you have a big staff?
no,
19.
Okay.
You said 19 employees, right?
19 employees.
Okay.
And that was 19 employees. Remember, we have two major responsibilities. So, for the IT portion, we have 8 employees. Yes, 8 employees. For the emergency communications section, we have 6 employees,
Okay.
and the rest are like administrative or
Okay.
like we have a deputy director
Okay.
whose focus is the emergency communications portion. But
Yes. Okay.
so yeah, and then one other project that we have is we wrote for a grant and received a grant for $515,628 to facilitate the territory's participation in a nationwide initiative to establish a nationwide a nationwide broadband network dedicated to public safety. It's
really?
called FirstNet.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And what that will do is imagine an environment where it would complement, for now, the land mobile radio communications. But not only do you get to have voice, but you get to have video, you get to have other types of data. We attend many conferences on this, and imagine being able to have all the police officers have go cams, and it's streaming back to a command center.
Okay.
And you can direct and address the incident with as much information as possible. Imagine going into a building and having the architecture of the building, the structure of the building sent to you on a video, so you can see.
Yes.
You can know what rooms
Yeah.
there are. Imagine, just
Yeah. Yeah. I got
think
you.
of leveraging the amount of data and information that public safety professionals can use to make better decisions at the point of contact.
Okay. Okay. All right, man. You anything else you wanted to say? Kind of covered it all. Super. Super. Any more questions related to the interview?
No.
I don't have anything. It's almost 10 here. Reuben had that glazed over look, so I know he's
He had a long day. he
yeah,
said.
he had a long day. So we're gonna leave it at that.
Beautiful wife is here, so
Yes.
I have to get her home.
Get her home safely. Okay. Okay, man. We'll have you out of here in 5 minutes, man. Reuben, we want to say thank you for coming out, man, and spend a little bit of time with us. This is the High Tech, Low Tech studio, man, and really appreciate what you have to say tonight. Just keep up the good work. I've been paying attention because I understand technology, so trust me, I'm paying attention. And I don't know if you remember Joseph Liebert.
Yes.
Yes, so I talk to him every day. And
do?
so yeah, he's into technology too. So
Oh, yeah?
so we're paying attention, and Reuben's doing a good job, man. And ultimately down the road it will help. And I see what you're doing. I guess it's just trying to get everybody else to sort of jump on the bandwagon too, because ultimately, when it's centralized, there's more control. Everything looks the same. It's easier to support, and there's many reasons why. I understand what they are. It's just
cost less.
yeah, it's just many reasons why the centralized approach to technology for big crowds of people. I mean, how many employees? How many users on your network?
The exchange license is for like 3,400
Okay.
users.
Okay.
There are about 6,000 plus government employees.
Okay. 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 That sounds fair. Sounds fair. On that note, man, Soup, any final words as we close this show, man?
Jagai Rastafari lives. One perfect love to everyone. Thank you again, Reuben, for coming out. We appreciate it. I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, man, you're always welcome. Anything new breaking, and you want to come on the show, just come on the show. And if you want to come back on and talk about something else, you can obviously do that as well.
Okay.
My name is David, aka Kimba, aka Christian, alongside.
Campbell Soup Carter.
And in closing for me, one perfect love is our prayers and his blessings. That equals one perfect love, man. We will be back tomorrow, Thursday. Got another guest coming out. Stand by for the postings on Facebook for that, but should be good to go. On that note, it's about 9:57. I want to thank Reuben Molloy for coming out and sharing some computer IT knowledge. I mean, we could talk all night about this, but we have to start a little early, maybe around 6, and just kind of take it into the evening. So, but thank you anyway, man. You'll definitely be back for sure. On that note, we're out. Peace.